Hi, everyone. It's Sarah here, and I've been wanting to do this video for a while. It's a sequel to the last video I did around, you know, um, the Schumann resonance and the frequency of the earth and how to get in resonance with the earth frequencies. And that the Schumann resonance, which is 7.83, typically it changes, fluctuates. But that when you're in resonance with that frequency, it is anti-mind control. So that means that you are less prone to be programmed. Okay. So you might think, well, how are we programmed? Well, we're programmed all the time through everything. I mean, it's actually been a journey of mine to systematically deprogram from everything that I have known my entire life. I've been doing that journey for, well, last 5 years, I'd say, or longer. And that's where I feel like liberation is when you can disentangle yourself from lies, right, that have been told to us from the moment we're born. And then you're no longer complicit in that lie. And then it's like being liberated, right? So that's how I see it. And that was my experience. And I'm not going to go into the specific areas of that because that's not what I wanted to talk about today. But if anyone wants me to talk about that, I will. But what I wanted to talk about today was how to reclaim your energy, how to reclaim your energy back that has been a source of food. Okay. I know this might sound bizarre to a lot of people, but there are there are beings, let's just say beings, that feed off of our lower vibrational frequencies, like fear, for instance. There are that fear is food for um, beings, right? So some people might call them archons. I can get into that in a little bit, but if you imagine predator and prey, which is basically we live in a predator prey system, we do typically eat meat. I mean, I went through a period where I didn't, and then I realized that it was really bad for my health, despite what I believed at the time. And it took me actually studying my own blood under a microscope and seeing that I had thrombocyte aggregation, which is basically a buildup of platelets. And then that can cause heart attack or stroke, right? So it's pretty serious because they were big in my blood. Anyway, through a series of deductions, I realized that it was because I wasn't eating what I'm supposed to my blood type, which is an O. So typically, if you're an O, you are going to do much better eating meat. Okay. And, morally, I didn't like that because I don't want to be the cause of animal suffering. All right. But then, that's the world we live in. We live in where it's a predator prey world. And, you know, someone's going to suffer for someone else's needs. What kind of system is that? It's horrible. And then it goes even bigger than that, that we are actually being preyed upon too through our emotions and our feelings and our energy. Okay. Is being usurped. It's being taken from us for food. Okay. So this is what I was looking into, I don't know, last month or 2 months, is this concept of that we're in a prison, all right, and that the astral plane is the prison yard. So this guy, Mike Williams, I believe that's his name. I can put a link below to his YouTube site. But anyway, he's written a couple of books. I haven't read his books, but I've listened to a lot of things he said. And not just him, but there's lots of people. Cameron Day is another guy. Who else? I don't want to get the names wrong. So anyway, there's plenty of people talking about this, have been talking about it for a while. And it's usually people that have explored near, who've experienced near-death experience or out-of-body experience, OBE, right? Where they travel on the astral plane. I haven't done that. Like consciously, I haven't done that. But the premise is that when we die, right, there's the light, there's the, go into the light. That's what we're told. Go into the light. And then you get processed because everything is recorded. Everything that we think and do is recorded. And so it's like a massive database. In my work in constellations, we call that the knowing field. It's also known as the Akashic records as well. Some people call it that. But it's basically where all the information is that we can access to, actually. We can access that. But so when we have a review of our life and, well, you did this, you did that. It's like you did all these things wrong. And now you have to go back and learn from that, right? So, but why do we forget? Why do we get memory wiped to come back and learn? That's not learning. That's like starting over again, right? So that's the reincarnation cycle. We get pushed into reincarnating back here on Earth, right? Because it's controlled. So some call them the archons. There's other names for them as well, but essentially they feed off our energy, and so they recycle us and they trick us into believing that it's our idea, that we want to come back and do that. And so it goes back to mind control. Okay, so it's not only mind control here, it's when we pass over, it's on the astral plane too. It's mind control there too. So if you can deprogram yourself here, you're going to have a much better chance when you get there to discern, right? To have discernment. So this is, and I'm not saying this is true, and I'm just sharing with you what I've been learning, at least I'm finding out about, is that, with all the stories from near-death experiences, like the angels were there and it was beautiful and the feeling was incredible. Well, Mike Williams talks about this, and other people, that it's the same energy, it's the same archons who have split into being these benevolent, angelic energies to, really make us feel good and believe that it's for our own good, essentially. Okay. And but then I think of, like, when you have two parties here, like you have the Republicans and you have the Democrats, and you are either in that side or that side, but really they're the same. It's the same. It's run by the same energy. Like, it doesn't take a lot to figure that out. And so you see that when you go to the astral plane, you see that is that the really good high vibe, angelic master beings and all that are really disguised. That it's a deception, and it's the same energy as the parasitical energy that wants to harvest our energy, right? Because they live off us. And I know that sounds horrible, and I know it sounds, and it can be like, well, I've just crushed everyone's belief system around, you know, whatever religion you or spirituality that you're into. I've just decimated that by what I said. But again, I'm just saying, I'm not saying I 100% believe it. I don't know for sure because I haven't experienced it, but I just go by like common sense things. So like if there are really benevolent beings, right, that want to help us, like angels, and why do we have so much suffering here? I mean, I've just gone through I'm selling a trailer, right? And I put it on I put it online, and I got a lot of people wanting it because it's really nice. I did it out really nice, right? But it's ready to go. I don't want it anymore. And I'm selling it pretty cheap. But basically, a lot of people that contacted me are homeless and or living in really bad conditions, and families that are homeless contacted me, and it's heart-wrenching. And it's like, why why do we have people that don't have human rights, which is basically shelter and food? Why, in this rich country that we live in? Why is that? Why are people suffering? Why, and couldn't um couldn't the angels just like, or this benevolent energy, like, and then it comes, can they help that? Like, why is that happening? So then it's like, well, it's their lesson, right? It's their karma. That's bullshit. Sorry, but it is, because it's just dismissing people and like they don't matter because of something maybe they did in another life. It's I don't know. I just feel like it reinforces us in this cycle of coming back again and doing it all over again. Okay. All right. So I've said all that. You get the idea. And, I encourage you to do your own research, do your own thinking, like, just like contemplate these things. What makes sense to you? What doesn't make sense to you? When you think of where we live as a system, right? The system we live in, which encourages us to be dependent, okay? Like dependent on drugs, dependent on alcohol, dependent on terrible foods, that really make us ill, dependent on entertainment, like, whatever it is, like dependent on that, where you just can't stop thinking about it. I mean, I could go, so I guess I'm talking about addictions, right? Because it's not just addictions to drugs, it's addictions to things like pornography, addictions to food, right? Or even addictions to power or money, like when it's out of balance, right? It's when it's out of balance, it's an addiction. And we live in a culture, my dog, we live in a culture that encourages that. Right? Anyway, so what do we do? Like, how do we go from being preyed on to becoming the predator that is using us as prey? So I listened to Mike Williams. He did a video on that. I listened to it yesterday, and it was really insightful. And he's basically saying it's inner work. So it's not external, it's inner, right? And he talks about us as being really powerful. And I've heard that a lot, like we're really powerful beings, but we're disconnected, that and he talks about our real self as being like the sun, like it's the creator and destroyer, right? Like we have that energy, but we've been we're in this body and we're in this world where we're not encouraged to express ourselves to our fullest in that capacity, that we can actually create anything, we can destroy anything. We have this incredible power, right? And so I've also heard about that you want to connect to the earth, right? So instead of connecting to guides, right? Because who are they? Who are they? Are they pretending, right? Are they pretending to be benevolent guides? Who knows? People don't really question that kind of things. So, but if we go in, we have all the knowledge within us, right? So one way to access that is through the heart. And then to connect to the earth's heart, because the earth has a heart, and earth holds the acronym for heart. Okay, earth, if you look at the letters, spells heart as well. So if we connect from our heart to the earth's heart, that again aligns with the Schumann resonance and what I was saying earlier about the earth's frequency and things like that. That's why it's such a good idea and such a good thing to practice. Anyway, so what I suggest, and you can experiment and do your own way if you're interested, right? So this guy Mike Williams, he talks about getting in a daydream state, right? And then in that place absorbing the blackness, like the black energy that basically is what is space, right? I guess, meaning what is around us and stuff. And that instead of us being fed off of, right? So like you think like our energy is being pulled out of us as food, right? That we claim that back, like we flip it. So instead of going out, we bring it back, and like a magnet. So then when we become a magnet, and it's all intention too, right? So this is what I figured, because yesterday was Christmas Day, and I don't know, I just can't get into it. I don't know, like, and I've had a history of horrible Christmases when I was a child. I mean, horrible. So it doesn't really, like, it's kind of traumatic for me, like I honestly can't remember one good Christmas. And I went into that. I went into a kind of meditation, which is basically, stilling the mind. And I'm good at visualizing. I've done all these videos on color, right? Which is amazing. And it works. Where you can visualize a color and you can heal through that. You can heal with colors by using strong focus and visualization, right? So I just I thought about all the years as a kid, having experiences of horrendous Christmases, where it was violent and people were drinking and people were out of their minds, doing crazy stuff, right? So growing up in that and being very sad about that, disappointed. So I want to claim that energy back, because that's food. That sadness and disappointment and sorrow, is food for what I talked about earlier. So I just sat and I claim that back. And the word for that energy is called loosh, Loosh, which is kind of an interesting word. Robert Monroe came up with that word. You can research him. He is an original astral traveler who wrote about it. But then kind of later, he kind of flipped. And anyway, who knows what happened to him. But he started off saying what basically I've been saying about us being harvested, our energy being harvested. And it's called loosh, right? Which is kind of like loot. And then it's also, I don't know, like Lucius. It has all these other connotations, right? But I want my loosh back. That was my thing. I want my loosh back from when I was a kid. I want it back. And I just meditated on bringing that back. Like, you're not getting anything from me anymore. I'm cutting you off, right? So that's what you do with parasites. You cut them off. You cut them off. You don't give them food anymore. So you can do that visually, like however that works for you. And then I also meditated on, flame in the heart, right? So if you imagine that you have a flame in the heart, that's the fire, that's that energy that the guy was talking about, that our true essence, that we're unlimited, like we're just so powerful. And then connect to that space in the heart with a fire and just resonate with that in that place. And you can do so many things from there. Like you can burn out all the negative attachments to you. You can, all the residue. Like, why am I still getting triggered at Christmas, right? It's because I still have residue. So burning that out, and then also reclaiming my energy from then. Okay. I know it's kind of convoluted and how I explain that, but it's something I just came up with yesterday and tried it, and I felt good. And I really feel like when you start reclaiming your energy, you're going to have more energy. You're going to have more energy. You're going to think better. You're going to stop outsourcing your power. So when I say that, like, stop outsourcing your power by worshiping anything or anyone. That means movie stars. That means musicians. That is all to lure us and to seduce us into compliance. Okay. Doing the reincarnation loop, being in compliance. I mean, I have so much to say, but I think I've said enough for now. And some of you might go like, oh, this is not for me. And that's fine. Like, that's fine. But some of you might think, well, that makes sense in a way. And I want to know more. And my goal is really to empower people. I mean, this whole channel is about empowering you and having you in your own sovereignty, right? Around health, around your mind, okay? Deprogramming, like being able to have discernment when it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Hello, being lied to. I mean, yeah. No, when you're being lied to. And it's instead of it being sort of deflating, it's actually empowering. It's empowering because, yeah, the world isn't like what we've been told. It isn't all love and light. It's not. There are children going missing every year, and they are tortured, and the horrendous things done to children, and it's happening all the time. It's happening all the time on our watch, right? What kind of place is that we live in that happens? There's poor people everywhere, people struggling. What kind of world is that, right? It's not a good place. It's not good. There are good things. Obviously, there are good things, but it could be a lot better. I mean, you have to agree. It could be way, way better. So let's claim our power back. Let's do it. Try that. Try bringing back your energy that has been taken from you. Bring it back to yourself. Okay. That's it. Thank you for listening and appreciate your comments.